Hey Lauren,
Hi, Emma.
thanks so much for coming on the summit. I'm super excited to interview you. I feel like for people watching at home, Lauren is a good friend of mine, but it's not very often that I get to actually interview her. So yeah, super excited. So you
Yes,
are, you're,
thanks for having me.
yay. So you're a fitness rider, you're a group instructor, and you are a soon-to-be personal trainer. But I know you actually came from a journalism background and started in magazine publishing. So I'd love to hear a little bit in your words, yeah, where you sort of come from and what you're doing now.
So I'm a journalist by trade. That's what I studied at university. I've been working full time in the magazine industry for, the past few years. But sort of, I feel like it was maybe like 1 year into the industry, I was sort of like, started going to the gym during lunch breaks. And then I was like, hey, this is actually like pretty fun. Didn't really see, it ever being like a career or anything. I just thought it was, sort of replacing when you're at school and you play sport. Going to the gym sort of filled that extracurricular activity. But then I guess over the course of going to university and working, a 9-to-5 desk job, I guess I put on a lot of weight. So then I was like, oh, I'm going to get a personal trainer. I'm going to start working, one-on-one with someone to help me, shed that little bit of extra, happy kilos, I like to call them. And I guess probably about 6 months into working one-on-one with an online coach doing nutrition coaching and I guess doing like a customized training program, I saw like amazing results and I fell in love and I fell in love and I just sort of thought I kind of want to do this, but it wasn't for another 18 months until I actually started my certification to take the steps towards doing that.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go back a bit to like the start of your health and fitness
Yeah.
journey. How did you know it was, I guess, like how did you know it was time to actually invest in your own health and fitness, and what sort of like led you up to that point?
Yeah. So when I got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to like knuckle down and make like a full on commitment to my health, I'd already been going to the gym, training regularly, I guess, for about 12 months and, going to group classes at the local work gym. And I think I was seeing a personal trainer for about maybe 4 or 5 months. And I'd lost about sort of 5 kilos, but every day I felt like I was just slugging it out in the gym. Like I was sweating so much and I just didn't feel like my results were reflecting the hard work I was putting in. So I reached out to a friend of mine who was actually a strength and conditioning coach. And I knew him from back home in high school. And he was always really overweight as a kid and as a teen. And then I guess once he finished high school, he got into the gym and eventually got into bodybuilding. Physique transformed his life. And I felt like so I reached out to him and I sort of asked him, this is what I'm doing. I'm not really seeing any results. Do you have any advice? And the way he sort of said it, you need to be doing like proper resistance training. So weight training with a bit of cardio and a bit of conditioning. And he said, but the high intensity aerobic classes you're doing at the gym aren't exactly going to get you the results that you want. And then he also said, you also need to look at your nutrition because nutrition is like I feel like it's 99% of, maintaining your results. So I do feel like doing a lot of resistance training, so weighted bands or anything like that is really, really great. But if you're doing all of that, so I was slugging out in the gym for a year and I wasn't addressing my nutrition. So as soon as we addressed my nutrition, everything was just like something like a light bulb clicked and the results just sort of happened. So that was when I decided, I was like, all right, I'm going to make a commitment and I'm going to stick with this coach. I'm going to do the program 110%. But that was actually after I had been to see a GP about my extreme fatigue. And I had already been going to the gym for over 6 months at this point, I'd lost about 5 kilos, and I went to a GP because I was sleeping from, I'd like to say 8:30 p.m. at night till 7:30 in the morning, and I was still tired.
Wow.
So pretty much sleeping for 11 hours, really tired. I was struggling to stay awake at my desk at work, and it wasn't like I was drinking heaps of coffees to stay awake. But I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was struggling with focus. I went to the GP and I said, I think there's something wrong with me, like help. And the GP, ran some tests. And, at the end of the day, basically sort of said, you're just 20 kilos overweight. That was really like the moment that sort of pushed me across the line to be like, all right, what I'm doing isn't working. How can I put in place strategies to get me to where I want to be?
So it was more to do with how you felt and having enough energy than like looking a certain way, right?
Yes, yeah. So that was definitely, yeah. So she was the first one that sort of said to me, you're 20 kilos overweight. You're actually classified as, your height and weight, you're actually classified as obese. So you need to lose weight. Whereas I genuinely thought, I didn't realize that I had put on so much weight. And I genuinely thought that I had like chronic fatigue, or I had some sort of like insulin resistance, because I thought I was eating well. And I was like, I'm getting enough sleep. I'm drinking enough water. I'm exercising every day, 45 minutes to an hour. Why am I so tired? So I was genuinely convinced that there was something wrong with me.
What were some of the biggest changes you made to like what you were eating, or even just your lifestyle?
I guess, so definitely lifestyle, making exercise like a non-negotiable. So yes, when I was working 9 to 5, I go at lunch, but how it is working a 9 to 5 job, you don't always have time to go at lunchtime. And especially, if you don't want to rush and you want to have a little bit of extra time, you don't want to be stressed leaving the office. So then it was a matter of, all right, I was going before or after work, and it was like I had to pencil it into my diary, so it was a non-negotiable. So going to the gym, it just became part of my routine. It was either I get up and I go before work, or I don't make plans after work and I go straight from work. So building that into my routine was really important for me, and making it a habit. And also with the nutrition, not eating out every meal, not buying all the pre-packed, even like the pre-packed schnitzels and stuff at Coles.
Yeah.
I'm not a cook, but I sort of had to learn how to cook myself, and learning about not putting like a cup of oil when you're like cooking meat or cooking vegetables, because at the end of the day that all adds up. So learning about portion sizes, learning about having a balanced diet. I wasn't getting enough protein. I would meat like maybe once a day, and the rest was just like carbs and breads,
brown stuff,
more carbs,
yeah,
cheese, brown stuff, the good stuff.
Yeah.
But in my own experience, eating that, like for some people, but for me, I need the variety of everything to feel full and to feel satiated and to feel like I've got enough energy and to feel healthy. And I haven't really been sick in a very long time. I used to get like 5 to 6 weeks. Mind you, I did get my tonsils out, but yeah. I haven't got sick since. So
amazing. And I know it's not about the numbers, but how much weight did you end up sort of losing in that process? Just to give people an idea of the like level of transformation we're talking about here.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I'll give you 2 numbers. So in the first year, and in 18 months, I lost 30 kilos, keeping in mind that the extra 6 months, I actually prepared for a bodybuilding competition. Yeah. So I kind of say now I've lost around like 25 kilos, because now I'm sort of sitting around
in that sweet spot. Yeah. You're like happy, healthy spot.
Being as lean as
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I feel like I've got good balance. I have tapered off a little bit on my exercise at the moment, simply because life gets busy. I'm, as you said before, I'm studying to be a personal trainer. So I finished my cert in a couple of weeks. So, you know, there are obviously always going to be times in your life where your own health and fitness has to take, I wouldn't say take a back seat, but sometimes you're not going to be, there's not going to be
priority
every single week of the year when you're able to work out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I find that was one thing I really struggled with at first, in like the first 6 months of my journey, is like, all right, exercise, I can't go to this event because I've got to go to the gym. So now I feel like I've found a good balance of all that. So
that's awesome. I want to talk about your bodybuilding, your bikini competition.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, was that something that you felt ready to do? Obviously the theme this summer is before you're ready. So like, what was your mindset around that at the time? Did you feel ready when you jumped in, or was it just kind of a goal that you, like a big goal you needed to set for yourself to like, something to strive for?
Yeah. So it was actually like, when I first started losing weight, I guess it's 2 years ago now, I said to my friend, who said to him, I was like, I'd love to eventually do a bodybuilding competition one day. And he was like, all right, Lauren, like that's a great goal, but right now we need to address everything else you've got going on. So after a year of, you know, 20 kilos and getting into a really good routine at the gym, eating well, that was when I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. I felt ready. And I was like, I'm ready to commit. This is something I really want to do. I don't want to wait like another 12 months. However, obviously having just lost 20 kilos, I didn't have too much muscle. So a lot of the girls that I was going to end up being up against on stage, you know, had years and years of training behind them. They'd competed before. So in that sense, I probably wasn't as ready as I could have been. However, I felt ready and I felt confident, and I wasn't going out there to win. I actually entered a transformation category because I wanted to show my story and where I'd come from. And to me, the reward was getting on stage and actually being like, wow, I did this. 18 months ago, I was classified as like obese. Now I'm stepping on stage half naked and showing to other people that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So in that sense, I felt ready, but I feel like next time, if I do another one, I will feel like 100% ready. Whereas this time I felt ready, but in other people's respect, I might not have been as ready as I could have been.
I think it's awesome that you did it anyway, even if people were saying, oh, you know, maybe you're not 100% ready, you're like in the best possible position to start.
Yeah, because pretty much every girl I speak to that I competed with, they always say like, you're always going to feel like you're not lean enough. You're always going to feel like you're not ready to step on stage. Everyone's always going to have things that they think they can improve on, and people are always going to say and think to themselves, I could have done this, I could have done that. Like, I don't think, unless, you know, you're absolutely incredible, I don't feel like anybody who steps on stage is ever actually going to feel like ready. Or when they step off stage, they don't feel like, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. Yeah. But it's like, it's something that you work for months and months and months towards. You kind of put that, do I feel ready, sort of to the side and be like, I am ready because I've got to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's the case with anything in life, really. But tell us about the moment when you're, you know, everything's been leading up to this point and you're about to step out on stage for the first time. What was going through your head?
Yeah.
Did you feel ready? Were you shitting yourself?
Well, I was, to be honest, the whole day I was just like super, super excited. It was only like as I went to step out on stage that I started to get like really sweaty palms. And, you know, you line up and each girl goes out sort of one by one and you're backstage, like behind the curtains where no one can see you. And it kind of reminded me of when I was younger and I would, you know, perform on stage and I would compete. And so I was sort of like, visualizing myself stepping out onto the stage. And I'd also spent, you know, months beforehand sort of perfecting my routine and visualizing the moment of myself walking out on stage and being super confident. So I think visualizing that moment, when the moment came, I was like, all right, crap, like my palms are really sweating. I'm starting to get like a bit flustered and a bit lightheaded, but this is what I'm going to picture myself doing. And I'm just going to hope that it's going to do it for me.
I feel like that's an awesome strategy for doing things before you feel ready, the visualization thing. Like, just visualizing how it's going to go. And then it's, when it comes to the moment, it's just doing that thing. I know that like sports people do that all the time. Yeah. It's such a great thing to do. And I want to talk about, obviously you've had a huge change, not only in your health and fitness, but also in your career, sort of like late last year. So you left your job in magazines to kind of pursue being a personal trainer and sort of specializing, moving into more in the health and fitness world. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that transition, how you knew it was the right time.
Yes, absolutely. So 2 days after my bikini comp in July last year, I actually started going to classes in the city part-time. So it was 2 nights a week and then every Sunday for a full day. So it was face-to-face classes, and I was doing that on top of my full-time job. So I'd enrolled earlier in the year, and so I started going to the classes, and then after a few months, probably even a few weeks, really, going from working an 8.5-hour day in the office to class until 10:30 p.m. and then getting home really late, having to wake up the next day and do it again. I was feeling extremely burnt out, and I was sort of like, something's got to give. I had already cut back a little bit on like exercise and stuff. I lost one weekend day a week, and we're getting ready to go overseas for a month to visit my partner's family in England. And I was sort of like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this up because I'm really struggling. So it was then that I sort of thought to myself, all right, I'm actually going to have to, I think I'm going to have to leave my full-time job so that my studies can be a full-time commitment. Before we went overseas, so I had about a week before we went off. And then when I came back, I had no job. I had a bit of savings, which I was really lucky to have. But yeah, had a bit of freelance work lined up, but I was kind of like, I need to get work. Girls got to pay bills. So I ended up paying an extra bit of money to get my Cert 3 so I could start working in a gym straight away. So then I got a job in a studio doing group classes, but that was like a slow start. It was a bit of transition. I obviously couldn't just go in and start taking like 20 classes a week. So that was slowly building, and then I was slowly doing a little bit of freelance on the side. And I was sort of like, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what have I done? Like, I don't have a consistent income. I can't pay my bills. Like, I was really fortunate. I had my savings, but I'm really not shocked. I feel like it's a lesson learned, is how quickly money disappears when you don't have a consistent income coming in. Especially
just like drains out of your account.
Bills due, you've got people to pay.
Oh yes. Story of my
exactly. And at first it's like, oh, that's fine. At first it's like, oh, this is fine. I've got $5,000 in my account, and suddenly within 6 weeks it's gone, and you're thinking, how? And then you're actually getting paid less than that monthly. So, and that would only last me the month. So yes.
That's been one of the biggest challenges then, like the money, from transitioning from like the stability of a full-time job to, I guess, pursuing your passion.
Yeah, definitely. I had a friend reach out to me the other day who's considering doing a similar thing. And she just sort of said to me, like, what are you doing for work? And I said, oh, I'm doing a bit of freelancing, I'm doing my group training. I finished my course in a few weeks. And she said, like, but you're happy, you seem really happy. And I said to her, I was like, my mental health is the best it's been in years. And I feel great, like, every day. And I said, but the one stress is the money. And I was like, I don't know how I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm really fortunate in that I do have, supportive, but that is like the one stress. So in that respect, I definitely wasn't ready. I know people say, before you go out on your own, before you start your own business, you should have a year's worth of salary, however, or enough money to cover your expenses.
But how, I mean, that is so
when you're
said and done.
in a sort
People always say that, but like, what would you have to do to get to that level? Yeah.
I've never had a year's worth of salary.
I had a month of salary.
Just sitting in my account, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try and save. But then it's like, you just go around in circles and you just never get to the point where you're like, okay, I feel ready to now quit my job and have enough money. I just feel like life isn't perfect. It doesn't work that way. Nothing always goes according to plan. Yeah. If I had waited until I felt ready to be like, all right, I feel ready to quit my job. I feel ready to go and do my certificates. I feel ready to go out in this industry. I wouldn't be here, like doing my group training, doing my certificate, because I still don't feel ready.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to do it at some point. And I want to talk about, I know that getting into journalism was something that you worked really hard to do. You went to uni, you interned, you did all the things that you have to do. Was it hard leaving behind something that, it was your dream job at some point? And was it hard to detach from that idea of, this is what I've worked so hard to achieve?
Yeah, I had a lot of guilt for a long time. And I felt like, because being a journalist and working in magazines was something I had wanted to do since I was in high school. And yeah, I felt a lot of guilt, and I felt really bad leaving the industry. And, also having $30,000 worth of HECS debt for a degree that I feel like I no longer want to use. So yeah, I did have a lot of guilt to leaving the industry and going and spending another thousands and thousands of dollars to go do this other course. But I feel like I had conversations, with friends and family, and, with you as well, about I needed to do what's best for me and what's going to make me happy. And working in journalism just wasn't fulfilling that anymore. I was getting really burnt out. I was feeling tired. I was feeling quite, resentful of having to slug it out every day. So it was kind of, I had to sort of think what's going to make me happy and what is going to be the best for me going forward.
Awesome. You lined up a job at an awesome job at like a women's fitness studio as a group instructor, like very, very soon after you started like going down this journey. How did you go about lining up an opportunity like that, like, and putting yourself out there and networking? Was it just a matter of like, just, putting yourself out there and like asking the right questions?
Yeah. So the studio it's called Buff Girl Studio in Bondi. It's actually right next door to a cafe my partner and I go to pretty much every single weekend. And his best friend is the chef there. And once he found out I had enrolled to do my Cert 4 in fitness, next door and asked for a job, asked if I could work there. And I was like, I'm not even qualified. So then I ended up, and he was sort of like, all right, they know you exist. The door's open for you. Do whatever you please with it. So then I started just going in and introducing myself and say, hey, I'm friends with the chef next door. I'm going to be studying my certificates. I want to become a personal trainer. Like, would there be an opportunity to come and like learn from you guys? And then doing classes there. So then once I got my Cert 3, I had just kept in touch. Even while I was overseas, if I wasn't in the classes, I was emailing them saying, I'm super keen to come in and like, chat more with you guys about future opportunities. Journalism. So even when I was in journalism, I had landed a full-time job 6 months before I graduated, because from day one of my degree 3 years earlier, I was emailing people and making contacts and then staying in contact with them over those years. So that was really helpful in landing me a job. So that's what I did again this time. I was just emailing them, going to the classes, keeping in touch. So then when I came back from overseas, I was a group instructor. Is there any chance for me to come in and help out with some classes? And it slowly built from there. I was just helping out, assisting, shadowing the trainers. And now I have a few classes of my own that I run each week. So
amazing. Yeah, it's crazy how quickly you've got there. And I think it's, putting yourself out there, being open to opportunities, being able to see opportunities and jump on them. So super
cool. Absolutely.
And I know that
I think people really like you taking initiative.
Yeah, exactly. Taking initiative is such an underrated trait, and it gets you everywhere. Like thinking outside the box and just being proactive about things, not just waiting for things to come to you, because that never happens. It rarely happens. And I know that you've kind of come into contact now with, I know a lot of people ask you about health and fitness, obviously because of your own journey, you're running classes. What have you seen as sort of one of the biggest mindset blocks that stops people from, stepping foot in the gym for the first time, or like starting a new type of training, or like putting the time, like telling themselves you matter enough to, put the time into your health and fitness? What are some of the biggest mindset blocks there, or that you've experienced yourself?
I think that there's two mindset blocks. The first one I definitely experienced myself. So I think the first one is actually getting into an environment where you can exercise, whether it's a group training studio, whether it's a gym, whether it's, boot camp classes down at the beach, whether it's Pilates up the road. People feel really warm. And I can totally relate. I had a gym membership way back home.
I dropped out for a second there. What did you say? They feel very vulnerable, did you say?
People feel really intimidated walking into a gym. And I experienced this when I had my first gym membership when I was in high school, or I think I just left high school. But, I signed up to a year contract and I was like, I'm going to start going. And then I'd park in the car park and I would just be too terrified to walk in, because I pictured that gym were these places where the big bodybuilding looking guys were in, or like the super fit females. And I'm like, I'm not like that. I feel like people feel like they have to get fit before they walk into a gym. And but like, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. That's like
exactly. And I felt
saving money. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I even remember, I had a few PT sessions, and every time I did something, I would just laugh nervously because I was so embarrassed. And, the coach would keep saying to me like, oh, like, it's fine. Like, what you're doing is fine. Everybody starts somewhere. And I thought, that's easy for you to say. You're like this muscly and like this big and got a 6-pack in a gym before. I feel like that is like one mindset block that I feel like most people find is actually getting the courage to go into the gym. And I think that's why group training studios and group classes are so great, because I feel like they're an entry level point for people to come in and get comfortable in a gym environment, because it's pretty daunting walking into Fitness First, where there's all the guys smashing these heavy ass weights and you're just sort of walking in being like, all right, what machine's free? So that's also why I feel like personal training is really great, because they can help you get to the point where you feel comfortable going and using the weights. So, and what was the second one? So the second mindset block I have is people overhaul their lifestyle to have a fitness journey or to lose weight. People think that, okay, whatever they're doing now, buying their avocado and toast at breakfast, having their coffee, getting a snack in the afternoon, eating out for dinner a few times a week with friends, having wine on the weekend, they feel like they can't do, if they want to have a health and fitness journey, they can't do any of that. And people like just automatically think, oh, okay, like that's just too hard. I'm not even going to bother, because I would rather live my life now and keep complaining rather than make a couple of changes and get the results that I want. So I feel like it's really important, and I'm so glad that I get to now be able to educate people and actually say to them, no, you don't have to spend hours and hours in the gym. yes, you can still eat out. You can still have a couple of glasses of wine on the weekends. You can still have some avocado on toast, but the majority of everything else, you need to be, get lots of vegetables, get enough sleep. And then at the end of the day, those little extra things won't matter as much. Obviously, if you're having wine 7 days a week and having a bottle every day of the week, that's another issue.
Okay, yeah.
But I feel like people overestimate how to make little adjustments.
Yeah, there's a quote that's like, people overestimate how much they can do in a day, but underestimate how much they can do in like, a couple of months. I feel like that's so true. It's just the little things add up consistently over time.
Exactly.
Being so all or nothing about everything. And I feel like that's something you do really well. And, look where it's got you. So
other day, and it was saying, when clients first start out doing personal training and they get really frustrated that they haven't lost, 3 kilos in 2 weeks. And it basically said, broke it down to, so sort of the healthy amount of weight to lose, every week is half a kilo. So 500 grams. And over the course of, and people are like, oh, that's not much. Like, I feel like that's not a lot of weight, but over the course of a year, that ends up being like 25 kilos.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the gradual
half a kilo a week. That's not a lot of weight. Yeah, exactly. But over a year, that adds up. So
yeah. And finally, what is the biggest piece of advice you'd give to someone who's thinking about pursuing their goals, whether that's getting fit or leaving their 9 to 5 behind to pursue their passion, but they don't feel ready? What is the biggest piece of advice you would give them?
Yeah. So my favorite thing is to write down sort of where you want to be in 6 or 12 months time. If it's something that seems like crazy, you think it's crazy unachievable, break it down into, I really like to use the SMART goal method. So break it down into something that's specific. So whether it's, losing weight, make it like a set amount, whether you want to lose 5 kilos, whether you want to lose 10 kilos. And then obviously it has to be measurable. So that's where the amount of kilos comes in. And then it has to be something that's achievable. So if you're thinking about losing, 10 kilos in a week, that's probably not achievable. It could be achievable, but it might not be realistic, which is the next step of the SMART goal one. And then the T is obviously the time bound. So set yourself an amount of time that you want to achieve that goal in. And for those big, big monstrous goals, like, quitting your job and going freelance or starting a business or, taking the first step into going into the gym and starting exercise, is break it down into something you're going to do monthly, weekly, and daily to help you achieve, or, start exercising, living a healthy life. What's something you can do, every single day that will add up? And it doesn't have to be something huge. It could, for some people, it could be as simple as literally going outside and walking around the block. If you do that every single day and you're someone who's never exercised, that will add up over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years doing that. I'd like to hope that eventually, walking around the block might be walking around 2 blocks or walking up to the shops and back, or doing a little bit more, walking a lovely beach walk down the road. But little things every day, like we said before, people underestimate how much they can achieve in a really long amount of time. But if you have like little things that you do each day, that's my biggest advice, is for people to actually write down what they want to achieve, because our brains have so much stuff going on. It's so easy to be like, oh, I want to do this. And then it's like next year rolls around. It's like, oh, I want to do this again. And that's why people really struggle with keeping New Year's resolutions, because they don't write them down and they don't have specific steps on how to achieve them. So
yeah, they're just looking at the end goal and it just feels too far away. Whereas if you're actually like reverse engineering it.
Too big.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram as Lauren_Irvine. So that's IRVINE. So yeah, I post some cool stuff about health and fitness. I'm definitely going to be posting more when I start doing my personal training with my clients. So yeah, if there's anything you want to see or any information, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help answer any questions. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the summit and chatting with me and sharing your inspiring journey with everyone. I know how much it's inspired me, so I'm sure it'll do the same for everyone listening at home.
Thanks so much, Emma.